Guest is not present with us today because of his technical difficulties. Our honorable special guest, as well as our capital market guardian, honorable chairman of Bangladesh Securities and Exchange Commission, Dr. Hossain sir, special guest, Mr. hon'ble, President of Chittagong Chamber of Commerce and Industries, Managing Director CSC, and then the discussant, and I can see so many dignified faces, including the respected commissioners of Bangladesh Securities and Exchange Commission. And dear audience, Assalamu alaikum and very good afternoon. I should go straight away to my presentation regarding unlocking the potentials of capital market. And at the outset, again and again, we should utter our economic performance. And we wanted to see global economic growth as compared to our country's economic growth. And you can see here in USA, their GDP growth is 1.9%. Whereas in Brazil, their GDP growth is minus 3.6%. And in Germany, it is 1.9%. In UK, it is 1.8%. And in Russia, it is minus 0.2%. And Saudi Arabia, they have a growth of GDP is 1.7%. In Australia, it is even lower than ours, 2.8%. But in Bangladesh, it is about 7.24%. And which is highest among the countries, economies we have studied here. And our GDP growth rate is increasing for the last couple of years steadily. And in this box, we will see some economic indicators movements. Again, size of our economy, which was only 6.3% at $3 billion US dollar in 1972. And now it is more than 200 billion US dollar. And our forex reserve was fraction in 1972. Now it is about 36 billion US dollar. And per capita income was about 300. It becomes more than 600 now. And size of budget was only 8 billion. Now it is 4,000 billion budget in our country. And inflation was about 10%, and it is now well managed and came down to less than 5%. And foreign remittance was only 7.6% in the 90s. Now it crossed more than 1,000 billion US dollar. And we are also progressing various types of social indicators as well. And you can see in our workforce, more than 57% of our workforce belongs to 25 years of age group. And our unemployment ratio is only 4%. And the extreme poverty rate is 12%. Literacy rate is more than 73%. And we have managed well our gender gap, and we are number one in South Asian region in managing the gender gap. And our exports are also increasing steadily. And you can see our strategic location of our country. And one economist, Napoleon Bonaparte, said, foreign policy of a country is dependent on its strategic location. And we are at the trio of India and China. And our country is the regional hub of regional connectivity. And we have the great resources, which is Chittagong Port, Mongla Port, our sea territory, etc. And because of this strategic location, And the positive economic indicators, foreign investors are taking interest in investing in our economy, in our country, and the foreign direct investments is increasing year by year. And now see, what about our capital market? And our capital market is lowest in Asia Pacific region, but one, after the Colombo, in terms of market capitalization. Though our market capitalization is increasing for the last couple of years. And until this time, in our capital market, there are 347 companies have been listed from the about 21 sectors. Maximum company comes from textile sectors, insurance thereafter, and then the engineering sectors. And now let us see the market cap to GDP ratios of some countries. First of all, we want to see the market cap to GDP ratio of G8, some countries from the G8 countries, like Russia. They have market cap to GDP ratio is 48%, which means their capital market is half of their economy. And in Germany, it's also the same. Their capital market is half of their size of economy. And in France, it is 87%. And in Japan, their capital market is so far equal to their economy size. And in USA, their market capitalization is more than their GDP. Now let us see in Asia Pacific region countries. And in Bangladesh, we are at the bottom, having 22% market capitalization, which means our capital market is 1/5 of our economy. But in India, it is 69%, and in Thailand, it is equivalent to their economy, that is GDP size. And in Malaysia, their market capitalization is more than 121%. And in Singapore, their capital market is double of their GDP. So, seeing this picture, we can derive one very strong hypothesis, we can take one very strong position that we have to grow further and through unlocking the potentials of capital market. And then now let us see what are the products currently available in our capital market. These are the products currently available in our capital market, like IPO, RPO, capital raising, merger and acquisition, pref shares, mutual funds, private equity, rights share. And in bonds, there are so many clusters like convertible, non-convertible, coupon bearing, zero coupon bearing. And with these kinds of products, our present commission has approved about 1,290 shows in their regime from the various clusters of products. And through this number of issues, they have injected capital of, particularly in their regime, from mid of 2011 onward, injected 1 lakh crore taka, more than 1 lakh crore, which means 1,035 billion taka. And particularly in IPO, they have issued 76, they have approved 76 cases by which our entrepreneurs got 53 billion taka for expanding their business. And in rights issue, they have approved 40 cases, and through which listed company can have raised about 81 million taka. And there are huge capital raising in this particular period through the current commission. And there are about 1,174 entities, they have raised their capital, by which they have raised 712 billion taka in the form of equity and 189 billion taka in the form of bonds through issuing various types of debts. So these are the figures that the current commission has contributed towards the capital market. At the end of the day, this contribution has put in the economy. And it is needless to say that the current commission has proved that they are not working merely as regulator, but they are working as facilitator of the capital market. And our capital market is now being well regulated under the leadership of, I should say, charismatic financial leadership of our Honorable Chairman Sir, Professor Dr. Hossain Sir, along with his learned team working in the BSEC. And because of their collective effort, we have got highly sensitized regulator in our country. And I used word charismatic leader because under his leadership, our capital market has rescued from the ashes of 2010 debacle. And we must keep on record for long. And of course, this entire task has been guided by our Honorable Finance Minister, Mr. Abul Mal Abdul Mohid Sir. And by dint of their joint effort, we have got both of our budgets demutualized. We must utter again and again. And our regulator became the A category regulator. Yes, thank you. To light A category regulator in the world capital market. And besides this, they have issued so many rules and regulations, particularly in this regime, besides reforming the existing rules and regulations. In 2012 to 2014, they have issued private placement of debt securities, research and analysis basic service rules. And 2015, they have issued alternative investments rules, DSC and CSC listing regulations, public issue rules. And 2016, they have issued ETF rules, small cap companies rules, financial literacy rules. Lastly, in 2017, they have promulgated market maker rule, clearing and settlement rules. And finally, last but not the least, they have given us the tangible infrastructure for our capital market, establishing its own building in a very short span of time. And DSC, CSC has some milestone events, like in DSC, we are considering them as our front regulator after the apex regulator, Bangladesh Securities and Exchange Commission. In 2012, they have introduced web-based trading software, MSA Plus. And in 2013, they have demutualized their board. And in 2014, they have inaugurated next generation automated trading system. And in 2016, they have achieved certification, standard certification, and inaugurated new book building system. And in 2017, they have achieved WFE, World Federation of Exchanges membership. And in CSC, we can cite some milestone events they have built, like in 2011, executed short sell in trading, and introduced next generation trading system in new website, and they became WFE member in 2013, And in 2013 as well, they had become demutualized one. And 2014, they have launched CSE Sharia Index and CSE 50 benchmark index. And in 2017, first to partner with the UN Sustainable Stock Exchanges. These are the milestone events of both of our boards. And seeing the oil-regulated capital market and the other economic stability in our country, we have studied here few success stories of the listed companies, and we have selected these companies on the basis of their contribution towards the market capitalization. We have selected GP. Their listing price at the time of listing was only 75 taka. Now it is about 500 taka. And their EPS at the time of listing was only 2.46. Now it becomes 21 taka per share. And NAB was 22, and now NAB becomes 25. And they are yielding a bit higher than the fixed income avenues even. And same is the case with the BAT-BC, and same is the case as well with the Renata Limited. So these are the success stories of our issuer companies, and finding the oil-regulated capital market, seeing the economic stability. We must study how we can unlock the potentials of our capital market further. That if we want to explore the potentials, if we want to get the real benefit from the capital market, we should diversify the products, and we should strengthen or update the legal framework in line with the global practices. And we should bring the further efficiency in rendering the services towards the capital market community. And lastly, we should foster or impart the financial education, financial literacy. Let us see the product diversification. We have suggested here 4 products like derivatives, sukuk in the form of bonds, exchange traded fund, and REIT. And there are so many clusters in the derivatives like forward contracts, swaps, futures, options. And it has enormous benefits in the capital market. At least in raising the trade volume of the capital market, we should launch this product immediately. And for hedging the risks better and for discovering the prices, derivative has had the real contributions towards the capital market. And one capital market expert, Michael Bloomberg, gave a quotation regarding the benefits of these derivatives, that without derivatives, investors work in the capital market with barefooted. And another product we suggested, like sukuk in the form of Sharia compliant bond for raising huge fund for the mega projects of the government as well as in the private sector. And there are so many kinds, particularly Mudaraba, Mosharraf, Ijara. We can follow the Malaysian model for exploring this sukuk in our country. And another product is ETF, Exchange Traded Fund. You must know that the BSEC has already promulgated the Exchange Traded Fund rule in 2016, and they have laid down over there so many features of Exchange Traded Fund. In the world, there are so many types practiced in exchange traded products, like exchange traded instruments, exchange traded notes, exchange traded commodities. But we need to have in our capital market exchange traded fund. And these features have already laid down our rules issued by the Securities and Exchange Commission. I can cite some differences between ETF and the mutual funds. Like in mutual fund, there may be two types. One is open-end, another one is closed-end. But in exchange-traded fund, it must be always open-end fund. And in the case of mutual fund, AMC may or may not invest in the fund. But in the case of exchange-traded fund, AMC must invest in the ETF. And besides, investment mostly based on index in the case of exchange-traded fund, and in the case of mutual fund, investment based on index and other assets. And REIT, for promoting the capital market as well as the real estate sector, we can explore the real estate investment trusts. Firstly, we need to have the legal framework, thereafter trading platform. And typical features of REIT I have cited here, like invest at least 75% of fund in the real estate, and 75% of income must come from rents, interest and mortgage of sale of real estate, and 90% income after tax should be distributed to the shareholders. And the again benefits, it would help financing mega projects through capital market in the private sector real estate. And again, I would suggest for unlocking the capital market, we have to follow the global practices, and we have to update our existing legal framework in line with the global practices time to time. Though we have strengthened and we have heavily reformed our existing rules and regulations of our capital market. And we are suggesting some areas where we can give focus for bringing operational efficiency. Like in regular market, our regulator has cut short the trading cycle from T+3 to T+2. And we are suggesting in the case of jet category shares for further cutting the or reducing the trading cycle from the T+9 in any shorter period. And we are also suggesting in the regular market to make the trading cycle to T+1 if the transaction through banking channel supports this system. We can think on it. And we would suggest for having state-of-the-art like technology for reviewing the prospectus IM in the case of capital issue, for avoiding the voluminous paper to review. And we must consider the paperless office, virtual office, implementing the online reporting systems to the regulators. As we have to report, we have to submit the periodical reports having the volume paper to the regulators. We can cut it short through implementing the online reporting data or data sharing systems. And finally, we would suggest for having the or imparting the education throughout the country, throughout the capital market community, for raising the awareness, of course. And we must admit that the BSEC has done a lot of things, particularly for observing the financial literacy programs throughout the country. And we would suggest for including the financial literacy module in the secondary or higher secondary education level. And finally, we would suggest for making the capital market inclusive capital market, bringing the mass people into our fold and shrinking the institutional to retail investors ratio. And that's all about my presentation. Thank you for listening to me.
Thank you, Dr.